So I think what we're going to do is we'll kind of do this in chapters. See what we got here to play with. We got plenty of turnips in. I just grabbed a few things. We're going to kind of do this square foot method. Has anybody ever said you can't have enough beets? I don't think we're going to plant any turnips. Our turnips are growing really well. We're definitely going to plant some cabbage. We've got bok choy growing good over there. There's a little patch of bok choy. And I want to have a nice little batch of cabbage. So that's going to be a big chapter. And we got tons of radishes growing. Obviously our radishes are doing pretty good. So, let me grab some cardboard for the carrots and we'll get to planting. We do have a bunch of beets in different stages of growth throughout the garden. And we are going to go ahead and cover those up with those mini totes. Okay, we got those preset. Those little mini greenhouses. But it's going to be nice to have some in a cold frame. So I'm just going to make 2 rows. Just lightly make 2 small rows. Beets are really cold hardy, especially if you give them a little protection. So I'm not going to overplant these, but I'm not going to underplant them either. I am going to kind of space these out. I'm putting a couple together. Now each one of these seed pods definitely has a couple seeds in them. But one thing about beets that I've learned, they do kind of grow up out of the ground and they do kind of push each other out of the way. So unless I'm going to get great big giant softball sized beets, this kind of spacing is not bad. Now typically I'd have put the rest of those down there, but for the winter garden I'm going to be a little more selective. Okay, spinach. Spinach really bolts whenever it's warm, and I planted it a couple times, and we've got a couple plants up, but we've had some warm days, and on the ground there's some critters that really like that spinach. So 2 little rows here in the garden ought to do us really well. We'll go take a look at the carrots we planted the other day. As you can see, the carrots are coming up really well right here. But these are fun. These are multicolored. Don't know what we're going to get. And I'm going to put about half of this on here. Yes, I'm just sprinkling it on top. Just sprinkle it on top. Soil contact, and we'll give that a drink of water and cover that with cardboard here in just a second. Now our cabbages do really, really well in the cold weather, especially if there's a little protection on them. And they'll be giants by spring, hopefully. Now, that's a pretty nice cabbage. And it's got a nice head. Look at this. You saw how big they grew last year. So I am going to be a little more deliberate. I'm going to space these out just a little bit. This is really your square foot method. You kind of make a grid, and then you make your indentations. You space it out evenly, kind of like the little holes on a dice. Well, look at it. I'm going to put 1 or 2 seeds in each one, and then I'm supposed to thin them out, but if you know me, it's really hard for me to thin anything out. And then we'll have a surprise up here when I finish moving that basil out. So there's our first October planting in the raised beds. I'm doing a little more than roost stout. I'm only going to need a small piece of this cardboard. Yeah, that'll do it. With your carrots, the trick with your carrots is they have to stay moist. Cool weather, warm weather, it doesn't matter. Once they germinate, then you can start watering them deeply every couple days. But until then, they have to stay moist. That's why I like to use a cardboard. You can use a pine board, that's just fine. Now the rest of this, we're just going to water in as normal. And our October planting, we've got a nice row of spinach coming up. We've got a nice couple rows of beets coming up. We even got carrots that are germinating. And we also have cabbage coming up. We're going to go ahead and cover these with plastic totes. This bed's going to be just fine. This fits like somebody planned this. I'm not going to cover those carrots until tomorrow. If you want to learn more about the deep mulch, click that link right there and I'll meet you back in the garden. If you want to learn about the living soil, click that link right there and I'll meet you right back in the garden. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.